We're back at Ryan Field. It's a warm day for early November, 62 degrees, but the wind howling, sustained winds in the high 20s, wind gusts near 50. Northwestern won the toss and deferred. Ohio State took the ball, so it's with the wind, and you wouldn't know it by that kickoff. A short kickoff, and fielded on a bounce by Xavier Johnson. And Ohio State will start at the 30-yard line, led by C.J. Stroud. Heisman Trophy contender. Many think he's the leading candidate. 12th in the country in passing yards. Bear in mind he hasn't played in a lot of fourth quarters this year with big leads. Tied with Drake May of North Carolina for the national lead. 29 touchdown passes. And his passer rating best in the country. And just as Molly described it, as he takes the field, here comes some sheets of rain blowing right into his face. From Inland Empire, California, east of Los Angeles. Trying to get the running game going this week. Miyan Williams gets the first carry. And he's out of bounds, but there is a flag down back behind the line of scrimmage. He got 7. If it stands, it's a holding call from our referee, Ron Snodgrass.
Holding. Offense. Number 55. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Sean, I really expected Ohio State, regardless of what the weather was going to be. Of course, we didn't know about Travion Henderson, that they were going to work on their run game today regardless. The last 2 wins over Iowa and Penn State, they scored a lot of points, but they did not run the football particularly well. Under 100 yards in both of those games. They need to find that physical run game balance to go with the great passing of C.J. Stroud.
Saw Ryan Day, the head coach. He's also the play caller for the Buckeyes. Handed off to Emeka Egbuka, and he's shoved out of bounds along the far sideline at the 26-yard line by Devin Turner, who's a true freshman. He'll see a lot of action at cornerback today for the Wildcats.
Well, the go-to guy for Ohio State if they do throw the ball has been Marvin Harrison Jr.
Off the best game of his career last week. Stroud's pass batted down, trying to get it to Julian Fleming. Xander Mueller, linebacker, dropped into coverage and got in the way.
Ohio State coming into the ballgame, one of the best in the country on third down offense, 50% conversions. However, weather conditions and throwing into the wind on this third and long, not going to be easy.
14th in the country with that 50% mark. 4 wide receivers. C.J. Stroud throws incomplete. Trying to get it to Julian Fleming. It was well off target. And the holding penalty on the first play set the Buckeyes back. And they'll punt on 4th down and 14.
You know, watch C.J. Stroud before the game. They did quite a bit of throwing into the wind and against the wind and with the wind. And it definitely is playing tricks with the football. You got to really drive it into the wind. That ball sailed a little bit outside, and a good turnover and 3 and out for the Northwestern defense.
Jesse Mirko punting into the gale force winds. The deep man back for Northwestern is only about 30 yards off the line of scrimmage. He tried to kick it low, and even that hit a wall of wind. And it'll be down at the 40-yard line. Ronnie Navarro, the deep man for the Wildcats, just got away from it. Well, that's a good strategy. It's kind of like when you're playing golf in the wind. Into the wind, try to hit it low, and Mirko did.
Yeah, and when we talked to Pat Fitzgerald and the Northwestern coaches, they said when we go with the wind, we may go up-tempo, and we're going to be aggressive. And right now with new starter Brendan Sullivan, his 3rd start of the year, they've got to be aggressive with the wind. Sullivan
hands it off to their best offensive player, Evan Hull, their leading rusher and receiver. And he got ahead for 2. The junior from Maple Grove, Minnesota. Outstanding running back, averaging 130 scrimmage yards per game. He has 45 catches. That leads all running backs in the country. They stick with the ground game here with the howling wind at their back. 2 more. It'll be 3rd down and 6.
Now this is where Ohio State, under new defensive coordinator Jim Knowles, has really made a drastic improvement. A lot of their defensive categories much better than a year ago, but on 3rd down, one of the best anywhere, 26% conversion against their defense.
That was 41% last year. Sullivan throws back down. Tuli Molowau again reminiscent of last week. And with the job he did last week catching those passes, the ridiculous hand-eye coordination and quick reflexes, you're almost surprised he didn't catch this one too.
Yeah, you can't back up if you're the tackle. You've got to go get him. The right tackle that time, Caleb Tiernan, he just kind of backed up and allowed that athleticism to show. You've got to go get him and not let him get those hands up around the football.
So Luke Akers will punt for Northwestern with the wind at his back. Transfer from UCLA. And that's a bomb that goes out of the back of the end zone. There is a flag down to the line of scrimmage on the far sideline. Well, we've already seen the difference of into the wind and with the wind. It's a 56-yard punt.
Illegal formation. Offense. More than 4 players in the backfield. 5-yard penalty will be added to the end of the play. First down. Timeout.
Well, he did this all week last week. He's got great hand-eye coordination, eyes on the quarterback. Almost came up with his 3rd interception.
I don't know how much we'll be sending to universities' general scholarship funds today. Tough day for the kickers. From their 25, flag down on first down as Miyan Williams carries again, tackled by Grayson Metz. Ohio State had a holding penalty on their first play.
Holding. Defense, number 46. 10-yard penalty from the end of the run. Automatic first down.
It's Devin O'Rourke in the middle of the defensive line for Northwestern.
Ohio State going with a big lineup now. They had in that first down play an extra offensive lineman wearing number 41. You see him running out now, Josh Fryer, trying to play a little bully ball. Again, I really think Ohio State, even without Travion Henderson, wants to get some confidence back in their ability to pound the football.
We saw the numbers. They've struggled to run the ball, but then again, they scored 98 points in those last 2 games against very good defenses in Iowa and Penn State. Miyan Williams, the ball carrier again. He went out early last week at Penn State. Ran into the first down marker, which the person manning on the sideline didn't drop it. And he had a couple of different injuries as a result. Had only 2 carries in the game, averaging nearly 7 yards per rush on the season. They've played without Travion Henderson a couple of times this year. Stroud on the rollout. His pass incomplete. Batted down. It was intended for G. Scott, and it was Cameron Mitchell who made the play for the Northwestern defense.
Yeah, Mitchell is probably their best cover guy, and he's a corner working on a tight end. So it's a matchup that favors the defense, and he's able to knock that ball away. All 4 starting defensive backs for Northwestern, both corners, both safeties, originally were corners, so that really helps them in terms of their coverage ability.
Struggled on defense, as you might expect, with a 1-7 record. As a matter of fact, they gave up 33 points to Iowa last week, a team that was historically bad on offense going in. Stroud has to circle away from the rush. C.J. Stroud running for the marker, and it looks like he has the first down. Well, they're going to spot him just short of the 47-yard line.
Wow.
And he said to the official, I got past that, but he didn't get the spot.
Yeah, I thought he had it for sure. I mean, C.J. does not run a lot. They have no quarterback design stuff. But he has the ability and the athleticism if he needs to.
Ohio State on their own 46-yard line.
Going to go for it here on 4th down and inches. And now the officials stop the play.
Ruling on the field was the runner was short of the line to gain. Plays under further review.
Mike Conlon is the replay official today. Rick Nelson, the communicator. No score, just underway in Evanstan. This year, Buckeye fans showing up in full force here today on a rainy and very windy day in Evanstan. They reviewed the spot. The play stands as called. We looked at it again during the break, and we think the officials got it right. Matt Austin, our referee, concurs. So here come the Buckeyes, 10 for 10 on 4th down this year. 4th down in just a couple of inches. Miyan Williams has the first down. Powers out just shy of the 50-yard line. Northwestern's opponents now, by the way, are, that was coming into today, 8 out of 9 on 4th down. They're 9 out of 10, and Northwestern worst in the country 4th down defense.
Great field position now. I would expect to see C.J. Stroud try to take a shot here. He's 0 for 3, coming in over 70% completion.
Saw Jim O'Neill, the defensive coordinator for Northwestern. That pass sails high. Julian Fleming, the intended receiver. I'm sure you played in some windy games during your college and pro careers. Psychologically, can it be difficult?
It really can be. I mean, it affects quarterbacks, obviously, throwing, kickers, snappers on long snaps. You just don't know what the wind is going to do with the ball. Plus, this wind is changing. It's gusting from times, and it really does play havoc when you throw the football.
Stroud's 0 for 4. There's Miyan Williams. He gets dropped at the 47-yard line of Northwestern. Of course, C.J. Stroud enters today 71% and change for his completion percentage, 8th best in the country. Very accurate. Coach Day raves about his great vision, his football intelligence.
He processes things so quickly. I mean, he knows where he wants to go with the football. He knows where to find matchups, weaknesses, mistakes by the defense. But right now, he's 0 for 4 because of this weather.
His 21st career start. The Buckeyes are 18-2 with him at the helm. Nowhere to throw it, and finally throws it away. In the general direction of Emeka, Egbuka, and Julian Fleming. And on this 4th down, they're not going to go for it. 4th down and 6, so Jesse Merkel will come on to punt into the wind again. With Donnie Navarro back deep. Merkel's a sophomore, not shockingly from Australia. Every team in the country, it seems, has an Australian punter. Good kick. He got a bad bounce. Kept it low out of the wind, but it skipped forward on the wet grass. 47 yards. But a net of 27. Coming up 7 o'clock tonight, one of the big games of the day. College football prime time on ESPN. Number 6, Alabama. Number 15, LSU. Alabama 7-1. Let's take a look at the All-State playoff predictor. I was just about to say, with already one loss.
Yeah.
Another loss, you'd have to think it's probably not going to happen with an eye toward the playoff for the Tide.
Yeah, that's for sure. Little Wildcat.
And it's Cam Porter, the backup running back, who took the direct snap and almost busted it. Taken down at the 33-yard line by Denzel Burke.
A little change of pace. They had both backs in the backfield that time. Porter, coming off a knee injury last year, showed some burst.
Now a quick throw to Malik Washington. He's their leading receiver among the wide receivers. 44th catch of the year for the senior from Lawrenceville, Georgia. As Pat Fitzgerald said, when they have the wind at their back, they're going to try to go very quickly. When they're going in the opposite direction, they'll go much more slowly. Porter, their leading rusher in 2020, is a freshman. When they went to the Big Ten title game against Ohio State in that COVID-shortened season, Pat Fitzgerald had Porter as the starting running back in the opener against Nebraska, and he fared very well. But for the most part, he's been the backup to Evan Hull. Brendan Sullivan on target out wide. Bryce Kurtz has a first down. Taken down by Denzel Burke.
This is a great drive right now for Northwestern. Remember, Ohio State tried to play conservative, punt them deep in their territory. Punt went into the end zone, and now all of a sudden, with the tempo and some good play calling, Northwestern across the 40-yard line of Ohio State.
Still no Evan Hull out there, who's been their best offensive weapon. Sullivan takes off running. And has a good gain to the 31. And Todd, that's really the biggest reason they made the quarterback change from Ryan Holinski to Brendan Sullivan. He's much more of a running threat.
Yeah, he is. He's got athleticism. He knows that's a strength of his. Sometimes he leans on it a little bit too much and maybe leaves the pocket too soon. That time, he was able to turn it into a positive game.
Redshirted last year when he played against Wisconsin. It was the first live game action he'd seen in 2 years. Hull back in there. He turned the corner. And it looks like he has the first down. It is a first down just inside the 28-yard line. Here's Mike Bajaki in the offensive coordinator. It's been a rough year. They've had injuries to the offensive line, lost both of their starting guards. He got 8 more, and Northwestern is on the move. Second down and short, just inside the 20. Ronnie Hickman made the tackle for Ohio State.
Well, Hall is really a good running back. He's got good short space quickness. He makes jump cuts, runs with some power, and protects the football. To the left side behind their best offensive lineman, Peter Skoronski, the left tackle.
Hull, powerfully built, 5'11", 210 pounds. He's a weight room warrior, outstanding high school wrestler and track athlete.
He looks a little bit physically like Blake Corn of Michigan. You know, kind of runs low to the ground, has great balance. Told us yesterday that wrestling background did a lot for him in terms of making him physical and mental tough, but also the balance aspect as a running back, a real carryover from wrestling.
Very impressive young man. We visited with Pat Fitzgerald yesterday. After we had visited with Evan Hull, we mentioned Evan Hull, and Pat Fitzgerald said, wow. Embodies everything they want in a Northwestern athlete. Trick play and a touchdown. They sent the quarterback Sullivan in motion to the right. Hull took the snap, and he has a 16-yard score.
I mentioned his ability to make jump cuts in that short area quickness. The move he put on J.K. Johnson, the starting cornerback, was spectacular on this run. Johnson was there unblocked. And watch this move, this little jump cut on number 4. Boom, right to the inside. Didn't even need the block, and takes it into the end zone.
And the extra point is good from Adam Stage. So Northwestern losers of 7 in a row and 13 out of 14. They're 37.5-point underdogs. But with the wind at their backs here in the first quarter, they lead 7-0. Evan Hull, the touchdown. Nice drive for Northwestern, a team averaging under 18 points per game for the year. But doing, Todd, what they said they were going to do with the wind at their back, play quickly, throw the ball more aggressively. They had 3 runs on that drive of 10 yards plus.
Yeah, they used the Wildcat with both Porter and Hull to great effectiveness. So good play calling, good tempo, and a really nice touchdown drive.
And a nice play call by Mike Bajaki. You saw his reaction as we went to the commercial break. Stage's kickoff landed in Wilmette. And here's Kevin Nagandi.
Good afternoon, Sean. Time now for a mayhem moment brought to you by Allstate. Number 7 TCU not pleased on the first playoff rankings. And how about Darius Davis, Bug?
Kev, it's the oldest return in the book. No matter where you catch it, return to our bench. Great blocking, a little bit of sideways running, but eventually, Kev, he takes it to the house.
Yeah, the stat says 82 yards. He went 182 yards. TCU on the board, and then here comes Tech. Baron Morton, Jaron DeBradley.
Love the trip formation, creates a little bit of confusion, easy touchdown.
We're tied 7 apiece in Fort Worth. Sean, back to you.
All right, here it's 7-0 Northwestern. C.J. Stroud with his first completion. He's now 1 for 6. It went to Julian Fleming, and here's Molly McGrath.
Well, Stroud showing some confidence there, but he's been frustrated on the sidelines, talking his receivers about the wind, snaking his hand in the air to show how shaky the ball is after he throws it, saying, I can't control where it goes, to head coach Ryan Day.
They're sloppy. So movement along the end of the offensive line.
Yeah, the wind is strong, but I'm not sure.
Offense, number 79.
Not sure.
Penalty, second down.
Not sure it was strong enough to knock over DeJuan Jones. Might have affected Stroud, but DeJuan Jones is 6'8", 360. Not sure it blew him over.
Excellent offensive line. Same 5 has started all 9 games now, including Jones, the right tackle. They use 22nd career start. They set up a screen. Cade Stover, outstanding tight end, chopped down along the far sideline by Xander Mueller, just short of the first down.
This is a good reaction by Ryan Day. He knows his quarterback's a little frustrated, so he gives him 2 passes to start this possession that is very easy. A little quick hitch and now a little screen pass. Get him some more confidence, feeling better, and in about under 6 minutes, they will have the wind at their back.
On 3rd and very short, Miyan Williams in trouble. Running laterally, and he's dropped for a loss.
This is a beautiful play by Adebare, number 99. He's known as a pass rusher, lined up inside, but plays the run great. Just whips the block of the guard, Donovan Jackson, and makes an outstanding play.
It looked like the first down would be a foregone conclusion, but with the loss of yardage, Ryan Day has the punter back out for the 3rd time. Tomiwa Adebare, the big play. Jim O'Neill, the coordinator, said he's their best defensive player. We spoke with the Northwestern coaches yesterday, Todd. We spoke with Mike Bajega, the offensive coordinator. He said, Pat Fitzgerald will know every detail about the weather tomorrow. When we talked to Fitz about it, he said, hey, this is the Big Ten. You know, weather is always going to be a factor. He couldn't ask for a better equalizer than what he's getting today.
Right, and this is the Windy City, right? And so I think he sells to his team, too, that one of their edges has to be mental toughness. And when things are ugly, whether it's rain or mud or wind, we have to take advantage of that and prove that we're a little bit tougher. And right now, they're off to a great start.
Operating out of the pistol, Evan Hall showing that strength in his lower body. He got just about 10, down about a half yard short of the first down.
Just not a lot of bounce in the step of this Ohio State defense right now. A little bad on their heels.
Early morning kickoff here, just after 11 a.m. Hall thrown for a loss, and there's also a flag down. Steel Chambers made the tackle for the Buckeyes.
Steel Chambers is a very athletic linebacker, converted running back.
Holding offense, number 69. 10-yard penalty, second down.
The center. They've had to move people around up front. Schmidt was a guard last year.
Right now, if you're Brendan Sullivan, Sean, the quarterback in Northwestern, you have to make sure you take care of the football. Everything is going according to script right now. The weather's helping you, but this Ohio State defense has been great at taking the ball away, particularly the last 2 weeks. You've got to be careful with the football at this point in the game and at this part of the field.
10 takeaways for the Buckeye defense in the last 2 weeks. Good fake by Sullivan. Showed that running ability to the 31-yard line. He's from Davison, Michigan, just outside Flint. Grew up dreaming of playing in the Big Ten. His dad, Mike Sullivan, was a starting offensive tackle for Michigan back in the early 90s for Gary Moeller.
Really didn't start playing football till late either, right? When he was a freshman in high school and was a wide receiver as a sophomore.
Facing 3rd down and 8. They set up a screen. Hull is down short of the first down at the 35-yard line. Run down by number 35, Tommy Eichenberg, who kind of lost against what Tuli Molowau did last week. He had 15 tackles at Penn State, Eichenberg's career high.
Yeah, he's a tackling machine. He was being blocked by an offensive lineman. They had the screen set up, but Eichenberg did a nice job just getting rid of the block, tackling the ball carrier well short.
Here's Akers. Look how deep the deep man is. It's Egbuka. with some room. And a nice return out to the 32-yard line. 52-yard punt and a 19-yard run back.
Sean, I played in a game my senior year, the year we won the national championship at Penn State. It was the last game of the year against our arch rival Pittsburgh. Dan Marino, myself, we both had really good passing offenses, but we played in a similar day like this in Beaver Stadium. Very windy. The final score was 19-10, and all 29 points were scored by the team going with the win. It was very difficult to do much against the wind.
Shaky quarterback play, too, with you and Marino. Whatever happened to him?
Yeah.
You two both part of one of the probably the greatest first-round quarterback class in NFL draft history. Miyan Williams, the running back. And he gets belted down. Rod Hurd, who, as you mentioned earlier, is really a cornerback playing safety. And Coach Fitzgerald, so when he adds a little bit of weight, just 185 pounds, they think he's going to have a terrific year next year.
He was a starting corner for this team last year. They moved him to safety. And like you said, Fitz says he's one weight room year away from being a really top-notch safety.
Stroud and the Buckeyes are ready to go in the opposite direction. CJ on target to the 40-yard line to Emeka Buka. Devin Turner, freshman out of Little Elm, Texas, made the tackle for the Wildcats.
I think if you're Ohio State, you also have to figure out a way to get the ball to number 18 here soon. Get him involved in the game. Marvin Harrison Jr., 10 catches a week ago. Has not had a ball thrown his way yet.
Saw the graphic. Just the second time this season they've trailed by 7 points. The other was against Rutgers. Game they wound up winning 49-10. Have throttled their opposition on their way to this perfect record, and another defensive play by Anatomiwa Adabare.
Well, we mentioned some of the running problems for Ohio State the last 2 weeks. The defensive structure of Iowa very similar to the structure of Northwestern. They really try to force you to run. Ryan Day, he wants to send a message to his team. We've got to get this running game going. And for the second time in the ball game, going for a 4th down and short, this time on their side of the 50.
Sluggish start for the team that has scored at least 44 points in every game since the opener against Notre Dame. And they scored 21. Miyan Williams did not get there. Xander Mueller, the big stop on 4th down.
Mueller does a great job of scraping over the top. He had 9 tackles a week ago. Watch him scrape over the top, 34, right into the hole. Miyan Williams thought he was going to get the first down easily, but Mueller with a high tackle met the ball carrier Williams and drove him back.
Junior from down the road in Wheaton, Illinois, first-year starter on the defense for the Northwestern Wildcats. And thinking about what Coach Fitzgerald said yesterday, they'll try to take advantage, you would think, of this minute 7 with the win. Sullivan rolls out, trying to dodge Steel Chambers. And he got stacked up after a 3-yard gain.
Steel Chambers is a different linebacker than Tommy Eichenberg. He's a converted running back, very athletic, still kind of learning his way, trying to become more consistent.
They do line up quickly, and Sullivan's throw is caught short of the first down by about 3 yards. Cam Porter the catch, and we're down to a half minute to go in this opening quarter.
Well, they got plenty of time. They definitely want to get this 3rd down play snapped before they change ends of the field. Probably throwing air on 3rd down.
Third down and 3. Sullivan keeps it. Almost gave back the first down yardage with a couple of those weaves. They rave about his athleticism and his running ability, and it's been a factor in this Successful first quarter for the Wildcats.
Out on the field.
They had the wind at their backs. They'll change directions for the second quarter. ESPN's presentation of college football on ABC will return after this message and a word from our ABC station. The Ohio State Buckeyes trying to be a part of the college football playoff. Surprisingly poor first quarter for them, but not all that surprising given the win. They averaged 2.6 yards per play. Northwestern leads 7-0. They're at the Buckeye 27-yard line. Another direct snap to the running back. This one Cam Porter for a yard, perhaps two.
You know, the only thing, though, Sean, again, that Ohio State was not able to do in that first quarter was run the football against this Northwestern defense. Only 26 yards rushing. Again, the last 2 weeks, that's been the area that has just not quite been up to the standard. Everything else they've done offensively has been outstanding. Their defense has been great. They're without Travion Henderson, but Miyan is a great back in his own right. But they just have not gotten the push so far in this game to break open that running game.
Still the Wildcat, literally, for Northwestern. Cam Porter lowers his head, gets to the 23-yard line.
By comparison, Northwestern's running game 90 yards rushing here so far in the first half. With the win, the little creativity with the Wildcat, Cam Porter. This was the start of their touchdown drive. And then the last play with Hall in the Wildcat formation, little jump cut, he gets it to the end zone.
Interesting here. I would think, Todd, given the wind, given that Fitz likes to go for it on fourth downs, that this is probably four-down territory. They send Sullivan in motion again. It's Evan Hull, and the Buckeyes not fooled that time. Tommy Eichenberg says that's enough of that nonsense, and drop the play for a loss back to the 26.
Yeah, a little bit more aggressive this time. Here's Eichenberg. He's going to blitz. It's a run blitz. They're anticipating run, and there's no one to account for him. And he does a nice job making the play in the backfield.
This would be a 40-yard field goal into the gusty wind. So no sign of the field goal kicker. Stage has kicked only 4 field goals all year. Sullivan back in at quarterback. They're going for it on fourth down and 8. Design rollout. Catch in the flat, but no first down. Malik Washington ripped down by Ronnie Hickman. And the Buckeyes take over on downs at their own 21.
Ronnie Hickman is having an excellent year for this defense. The defense now has 5 defensive backs. He's one of the safeties, and he does a nice job catching up to Washington and then making the sure tackle out in space. It was a good play call and design, but Hickman just made an outstanding play.
Their leading tackler last year with an even 100, most by a Buckeye in 6 years. Starting his 21st consecutive game, junior from South Orange, New Jersey. So now Stroud just 3 out of 8 in the first quarter with the wind at his back. First quarter, just the 4th scoreless quarter they've had all year. Stroud has a man. There is a flag down. The ball's out after the catch. And they rule it an incomplete pass to Julian Fleming. So there is a flag down. A couple of flags, in fact.
Ohio State has hurt themselves with early down penalties so far in this game, too. Now, again, the entire first quarter they were going against the wind, but they put themselves in some negative yardage situations, too.
Defense number 2. And knows a receiver downfield. Offense number 53. The foul's offset. Replay first down.
Cameron Mitchell for Northwestern in the center. Luke Whippler for Ohio State. Another veteran, 22nd start for Whippler. So 1st and 10 again.
Well, and again, Marvin Harrison is yet to be targeted. Here he is right here working on the top against A.J. Hampton.
10 catches last week at Penn State. Here he is, Marvin Harrison Jr. First down.
The amazing thing about him now, that is his 49th catch, and 40 of his catches have gone for first downs. So you talk about a guy who converts. I mean, all 10 of his catches a week ago went for a first down.
That's amazing.
It really is.
That play for 15 yards, longest Buckeye gain of the game. Stroud against the three-man rush, throws incomplete. Far sideline looking for Julian Fleming with Cameron Mitchell in coverage. This is a Northwestern defense today reminiscent of 2020 when they played Ohio State for the Big Ten title. That was a veteran group, 7 senior starters. This group is younger, and Pat Fitzgerald thinks they'll be a lot better next year. In recent years, Northwestern has been either quite good or not good at all. This year, not good at all. Stroud way over the head of Fleming.
A little out of sync. I mean, you can see it in his eyes. He doesn't quite look the same right now. He's got to find a way to get his guys settled down. Jim O'Neill, second year as a defensive coordinator here at Northwestern, took over for the legendary Mike Hankwitz, who was a phenomenal defensive coordinator for a long time.
And Jim O'Neill's taken some heat from Wildcat fans, but the last defense Hankwitz coached was that veteran group. Stroud throws incomplete, trying to get it to Cade Stover, the tight end, right along the line to gain. 4 for 12 now for C.J. Stroud for just 36 yards.
Well, this is a catchable ball, but again, the safeties are converted corners. I mean, that's a ball that's thrown in the right spot. Cade Stover, normally pretty dependable, an excellent receiver, not able to bring that one in.
Ohio State, 50% for the year on third down, is 0 for 6 today. So now Mirko. Those low rugby punts into the wind. We'll see if he tries to get one up into this breeze. Not really high enough to get the benefit of the wind, and that caroms through the back of the end zone. We might see some career-long punts today. That's the longest of the season for Mirko. 6. You're watching ESPN College Football on ABC, presented by Arby's. Sean McDonough, Todd Blackledge, Molly McGrath. Big surprise through a quarter plus. Northwestern leading 7-0. The wind a ginormous factor. See, it's gusting. That's sustained winds right now at 33. That gusts over 50. Evan Hull, the ball carrier, and he got 3.
And Tanner McAllister came up from his middle safety position, made the tackle. Tanner McAllister was one of Jim Knowles' players and starters at Oklahoma State, a grad transfer, really helped with the transition, kind of like a coach on the field, teaching this new defensive system to the Ohio State team.
Which they've taken to very quickly. One of the concerns some had is Jim Knowles' system is considered to be complex. It was really the 4th year at Oklahoma State where it kicked in last year when they were one of the best defenses in the country. Hull stopped at the 26. But they've learned it quickly. Ohio State averaging just under 17 points per game allowed. That's down by 6 from a year ago. Total yards down by 103. They're giving up 79 fewer passing yards per game, and the third down defense 16% better. Terrific coach, Jim Knowles.
Great buy-in and a group of guys that were hungry to be good and had a chip on their shoulder because of some of the heat, disrespect they felt towards the end of last season. So you know they've got talent and great recruiting. They've taken to it very well.
Hull breaks a tackle, has the first down, and much more. He was a sprinter at the state level. In high school in Minnesota, has excellent speed.
Well, watch the left tackle, Skoronski, get a block on Tuimoloau. Knocks him out of the play. They're expecting pass on third down, getting up the field. And that's an easy block for the left tackle. Just take him up the field and let your back slip under for the first down.
Mel Kiper has Peter Skoronski, the top-rated offensive tackle, with an eye toward next year's draft and a top 10 pick. Here's Hull again with the direct snap. And he fought all he could to get back to the line of scrimmage.
Ohio State much more aggressive in their approach defensively right now. I don't think they fear the wide receivers or their ability to get run by on this Northwestern offense, particularly going against the wind. They are crowding the line of scrimmage. Really going to try to slow down this run game.
All runs going into the wind here for Northwestern. And as Pat Fitzgerald said, when they're going in this direction, they will use as much of the clock as they can.
Ohio State giving up 93 yards a game rushing. Northwestern already with 111.
Effectively using the Wildcat, and Brendan Sullivan got knocked around at the 46. They need 7 on 3rd down. Tommy Eichenberg, another tackle, brother of Liam, who plays the Miami Dolphins, now offensive lineman after an excellent career at Notre Dame.
Gain of 3 is 37.
Thinking smart, take care of the football. If you have to punt the ball, make Ohio State go the long field.
Hull, quick hitter across midfield, but still about 3 yards short, now 2 yards short. Pat Fitzgerald likes to go for it on 4th down.
Yeah, but I just don't know why you go for it here on 4th down at this part of the field.
Perhaps just try to get him to jump offside.
A lot of movement, a lot of action.
I think they're going to take it all the way down and take a timeout. Sullivan back under center with Ford to snap it. Timeout called by Pat Fitzgerald. And we'll step aside. Nearly midway through the 2nd quarter. Still 7-0 Northwestern. We're probably Soldier Field, Wrigley Field. They built a new stadium right here. Ryan family, remarkably generous benefactors in so many aspects of Northwestern University. Wildcats will punt on 4th and 2. Luke Akers into the wind for the first time today. Down to the 18-yard line. Hunter Renner was the punter. He's the backup. Maybe he's the into the 50-mile-an-hour wind specialist. Looks like Wally will love this down on the field. There's some rain about to join the wind here. We're told with this approaching weather, the wind could be even more brisk than it is right now, and that's saying a lot.
Good to know, Sean. I'm getting blown over down here.
Only 36 pass yards for Ohio State right now. They're with the win. And C.J. Stroud still really kind of struggling to find his rhythm.
Play fake to Miyan Williams. And throws caught by Marvin Harrison Jr. Out of bounds with just enough for the first down to the 29-yard line, a gain of 11.
Marvin Harrison Jr. is so interesting to me. His dad obviously was a great receiver, but he was a small receiver. Marvin Harrison Jr. is 6'4", but he has small receiver skills. He's an excellent route runner, has great footwork. Really credits his dad for helping him develop all that.
Here's Egbuka, stacked up for a loss. They've rallied to the ball by the Wildcats. A.J. Hampton, Grayson Metz.
A really good job maintaining leverage. You don't want to let him get outside, and it's A.J. Hampton, number 11, who maintains leverage. He doesn't let him get outside, forces him back in, believing he's going to have help, and Metz was there to help finish him off.
Loss of a yard on the play. Williams stayed in the block. Stroud, deep ball, looking for Harrison. The ball's over his head. He was being held. Don't think that was a catchable ball. That took off into the breeze with Jeremiah Lewis in coverage.
Again, the wind messes with you into it and when you're with it. This ball just takes off on him. Looked like they could have maybe called a hold on Jeremiah Lewis, number 9, but the ball was clearly well over the head of Marvin Harrison Jr.
No argument on that Buckeye sideline. Stroud into coverage. His receiver was not open. That was Egbuka running between the hash marks.
Oh, good pressure, though. Again, Adebare, sometimes he lines up inside. This time he's inside, working on the guard, runs right by Donovan Jackson, and I think forces C.J. Stroud to throw that ball before he wanted to. A couple nice plays here in the first half by Northwestern's best pass rusher.
This is the 5th punt already for Jesse Merkel, who had punted only 24 times in the first 8 games. Matches the most punts he's had in a game this season, and we're barely past the midway point of the second quarter.
Well, credit Northwestern, right? I mean, they're playing their butts off.
5-yard penalty.
And the weather is obviously a factor, but this does not look like a top 2 or 3 team right now in Ohio State.
You wonder, it could be a lot of things, right? The wind is certainly a factor.
Absolutely.
That looks like it's messing with their heads at the very least. Early start.
Right.
We've seen teams be sluggish starting at 11 a.m. Perhaps taking the opponent lightly. I mean, it's a Northwestern team that's lost 7 in a row. 13 out of 14. Merkel, this punt goes into the end zone. His last punt with the win was 64, and that was a career long. This one is 77 yards. Nowhere to run for Ohio State. The passing game not effective either. It's 7-0 Northwestern in Evanstan. Right now, no raindrops. Makes Molly and those in attendance here happy. Evan Hall on first down. Got 2. The Taco Bell Live Más student section. Student sections across the country continue to be the Live Más student section of the year all season long. There are actually more of them at the start of the game. A couple of them have gone into Lake Michigan.
Ohio State, their first. Please reset the game clock. 6 minutes, 8 seconds. 6:08. Should be a 30-second.
The timeout will give you our Aflac trivia question. Ohio State has scored 40-plus points in 7 straight games. Each of the last 7. That's tied for the Big Ten record. Which team are they tied with? That's a streak that's in serious jeopardy today. Obviously, with no points here in the second quarter. They've also scored at least 20 points in 69 straight games. That's tied for the FBS record with Oklahoma. No longer an active streak for the Sooners, and that one seems to be in jeopardy as well. The answer? Michigan under Fielding Yost. Fumble, and Sullivan's back on it, but a loss on the play inside the 20.
Covered by Northwestern.
So it's been a historically great offense for Ohio State this year, but stymied so far today. Fielding Yost, legendary coach. You can tell looking at that team, you know, they had a lot of offensive firepower.
Ohio State searching for a spark right now on either side of the ball. They almost got one there with another takeaway. Something they've been outstanding at, coming into the game +9 in the turnover margin.
And that's the big reason Northwestern is where it is. Ordinarily under Pat Fitzgerald, they lean heavily on the turnover margin. They are -9.
Charge timeout, Northwestern, they're second. This will be a full timeout.
With 5:21 to go till halftime. 7-0 Wildcats leading number 2 Ohio State.
In sheets, and Northwestern players were celebrating the rain. They said, this is Wildcat weather. We thrive in these elements. John.
During the commercial timeout, it was pouring. It stopped. It slowed down just a little bit. Wind gusting near 50 miles an hour. 3rd down and 10 into the wind. A blitz! Well timed and well executed by Steel Chambers.
The guys that you got to worry about now if you're Northwestern, you can do all the jumping up and down. Steel Chambers, number 22, timed the blitz perfectly. Supposed to be cut off by the guard, couldn't get there. The snapper and the punter right now.
Please reset the
Injured
game
player.
clock. 5 minutes, 10 seconds.
Duke Olgus,
10. Thank you.
a tight end who just moved over from D-line because they've had injuries to their top 2 tight ends, Charlie Mangieri and Thomas Gordon. Gordon went down for the season last week with an upper body injury, and he was a pass receiving threat. So Olgus just moved over, 280-pound tight end who actually caught a touchdown pass last week at Iowa. His first career catch went for a touchdown. They can't afford any more injuries at tight end. Here's Kevin Nagandi.
Sean, Capital One halftime report just minutes away with Booger McFarland. 7-0 Northwestern. What do you make of this?
Listen, I understand the weather and it's tough to throw the football, but very surprising about Ohio State not being able to run the football. You would think their physicality would be to line up with Miyan Williams and run the football, but that Northwestern defense is very stingy. Shout out to them.
What has to change here for the Buckeyes?
I think the Buckeyes' mindset has to change first and foremost. Get used to the weather. The weather doesn't look like it's changing. Molly's getting wet. Everybody's going to be wet. At some point, line up and physically take over this football.
Okay, again, Mother Nature playing a big role for Northwestern. Highlights coming your way, Sean. Back to you.
All right, gentlemen, thank you.
I think Booger's 100% correct. The thing that has to change for Ohio State is their mindset. Their defense kind of changed a little bit here on this possession. Now the special teams a chance to make a big play, maybe get great field position, but offensive line, I think, is where the mindset really has to change. They've got to be able to get up and move people and get the running game going for Ohio State here before the end of the first half.
Well, they should get tremendous field position. Hunter Renters, the backup punter, punted only 5 times all year. Punted in this direction last time. This is a low bouncing kick that stops dead at the 46. Pretty good under the conditions. Went 31 yards. Kick off your Week 9 NFL Sunday. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., the countdown crew on ESPN, the app. All the early breaking stories, injury updates, and a preview of every game. And then Monday Night Football caps off Week 9. Baltimore Ravens in New Orleans. Peyton and Eli will be on ESPN2. Ravens 5-3 off the win last Thursday against the Tampa Bay Bucks. Trying to take control of their division. Ohio State hasn't had a scoreless first half since 2016, the Fiesta Bowl against Clemson. And they take advantage of this field position. Miyan Williams, not a lot. A gain of 2, taken down by Bryce Gallagher, their leading tackler.
You know, Sean, the first 6 games of the year, they had great balance. They were able to run the football. The last 2, not so much. And again today, not so much. Averaging under 3 yards a carry in the ball game today against Northwestern.
Playing without Travion Henderson, but they've done that earlier this season. He didn't play at all against Rutgers. Williams clearly trying to establish the run here to the 40-yard line. Rod Hurd made the tackle. Early in the game against Toledo, Travion Henderson was injured. Miyan Williams did the bulk of the ball carrying. On to the pistol now with Williams.
I think this is 4-down territory right now for Ryan Day. If you want to run it here, you're thinking about going for it on 4th down, even though you have the win.
A little squall. The rain has stopped. Here's Williams. Did not get to the first down marker. Xander Mueller, Bryce Gallagher, the 2 linebackers. 4th down and 1. Ohio State will go for it. Williams remains the running back. C.J. Stroud kicks. Big gainer. Great call by Ryan Day.
Yeah, really a great call because they do not do this. I mean, you would not expect this out of C.J. Stroud, but a perfect call on 4th and 1. Fooled the entire Northwestern defense. And C.J. gets outside easily and converts. Now, maybe if you want a little play action and a shot to the end zone, see if you can knock this game up right now.
16-yard run. Entering today, he had -4 yards rushing.
Because they do not do this. I mean, you would not expect this out of C.J. Stroud, but a perfect call on 4th and 1. Fooled the entire Northwestern defense. And C.J. gets outside easily and converts. Now, maybe if you want a little play action and a shot to the end zone, see if you can knock this game up right now.
16-yard run. Entering today, he had -4 yards rushing for the season.
Matchup on Harrison.
And C.J. Stroud takes it down, across the line of scrimmage, and out of bounds near the 15.
It was play action with only a 2-man route. The only 2 guys out in the route were Marvin Harrison and Egbuka. Very great, excellent coverage downfield by Northwestern. You got 2 receivers. Here's one and here's 2, and neither one of them get a good open. It's max protection, looking to take a shot. He was trying to get it to Egbuka. Guess he had Cade Stover, also the tight end, but excellent coverage downfield.
Bringing down to 2.5 minutes to go in the half. Egbuka turns the corner and is banged out of bounds. Is he in the end zone? Yes. Touchdown.
Northwestern 7, Ohio State 6.
Having trouble running the football in a traditional way. A little end around to Egbuka. Keeps the foot in. Spinning over the pylon for the touchdown. Nice footwork on the sideline. You can see green grass.
Rolling on the field was a touchdown. The play's under further review.
It looked like he did get the ball in. Pylon came a little blurry after that downpour, and it is downpouring again. Sheets of rain. Aggressive giving you the view. And downpour again here to go along with the near 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts. I agree with you. It looked like he stayed in bounds. You can see a little green there between his toes and the sideline. And the question is, did he break the plane to the end zone? It looked like he did. Matt Austin, our referee, concurs. This will be a touchdown. It'll be the first rushing touchdown of the season for Egbuka, who has 7 receiving touchdowns, 12th in the country. And interesting, as you said, with the win, clearly trying to establish the run on that possession. Ryan Day.
Well, it was a great call on 4th down. Having the quarterback keep it. Northwestern.
After review, the rolling on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
And now if you're Northwestern, Sean, you're 1-7. You haven't had a lot of things go your way. You've played this highly ranked Ohio State team toe-to-toe here for the first half, but there's 2.5 minutes left in the first half. You still have weather. You're going against the wind. You cannot afford to let your guard down now here at the end of the half. You got to take care of the football and hope to get this thing to the locker room at 7-7. So many times you see an underdog team like a Northwestern play really well, but they just can't finish the half, and they lose that momentum going into the locker room.
C.J. Stroud's 16-yard run, his longest of the season. It helped set it up. The extra point good by Noah Ruggles. So it won't be a scoreless half for Ohio State.
Again, anticipating this weather continuing. You know, Northwestern won the toss and deferred, so they will get the ball to start, and they'll probably go against the wind. Here's the end around to Egbuka, not having great amount of success running it under normal circumstances. Nice lead block out there in front of the play. Number 34 doing a nice job. Mitch Rossi listed as a fullback. They don't really line up with a traditional fullback very often, but he led the way on that play.
Northwestern will get it back with 2:25 to go. And their offense, led by the multi-purpose player, Evan Hull.
Well, only one catch so far in the first half, but he has run the football well, 14 times, 71 yards, averaging 5.1 yards per carry against this Buckeye defense.
Jaden Fielding kicks off. Evan Hull is back deep. Well, let's see how Northwestern plays it going into the wind. Ohio State has used the timeout, but they still have 2. And you would think if they stop Northwestern on these first couple of plays, they'll use those timeouts.
Absolutely. Again, that's the opposite side of what I was just talking about. If you're Ohio State, you finally got something going. You got a little juice. Let's see if we can build on that here in the final 2:26 and take the first half momentum away from this Northwestern team. It starts with this first down play. This is the big play of the drive right here. First down.
Pistol with Brendan Sullivan in front of Evan Hull, and they send Sullivan in motion again. The direct snap to Hull. That's 3, and Ryan Day will use a timeout. Lathan Ransom in on the stop for the Buckeyes. We'll be back in 8 seconds after a look from Ram Trucks.
Ram Trucks, built to serve.
By the way, I know this is a big loss for you. No Sky Camp today because of the high winds. Those of our viewers who love Sky Camp, the great work Scott Johnson and Josh Hoffman and our crew do with Sky Camp, can't use it today. Too gusty. 7-7 the score. 2:21 to go till halftime. And not surprising, the effort from Northwestern. Now, this is typical Pat Fitzgerald. When we talked to the players and coaches there, to a man, they talked about the attitude's been great. The effort is great.
I thought it was interesting. Pat said, our guys have worked hard. We've been great effort and attention during the week. We just had a Saturday problem. They just haven't played well on Saturday.
Cam Porter out to the 32. They'll need 3. Ryan Day at the moment not using his last timeout.
They go wait and see if they get a stop here on 3rd down. If they get the quick stop, he'll use that timeout and turn it over to his offense.
Ryan Day, almost laugh when I say the record, 42-4 as head coach at Ohio State in his 4th year. Brendan Sullivan, when he's thrown it, has fared well. 5 out of 6 passing. Only 1 pass thrown in this direction in this quarter, and that was on a 4th down and 8 play, which he completed, but they were short of the first down and turned it over.
Timeout, Northwestern. 3rd and final timeout.
So 1:36 to go. Kind of feels like a big play here, because if they have to punt into the wind, Ohio State perhaps a little life off that touchdown they just scored. They could be looking at more Buckeye points.
Yeah, and I know that Pat would probably love to play it safe and run it here on this 3rd down play, put it in the hands of Evan Hull. I think they might have a better chance to convert if they can throw it here. If he has trust in his quarterback to throw and to be smart with the football, I think they could convert easier by throwing than running on this play. And again, if they don't convert and Ryan Day uses a timeout, it's a lot of time for C.J. Stroud. Even though he hasn't been on his game so much in the first half, a chance to really steal the momentum here in the last 2 minutes of the first half.
Keeper by Sullivan, and he has the first down.
really nice job. You know, we've seen him run the ball 2 or 3 times and try to bounce it outside. That time he knew what he needed for the first down. He slipped right inside the block of his tackle and turned upfield. Watch, he doesn't try to bounce this. He knows he just needs about 3 yards, turn upfield, and get the first down. Big conversion right there for Northwestern.
I think, well, with this field position ordinarily on a different day, you might attack, but given the circumstances, even with the number 2 team in the country, 7-7 at the half,
they'll take it.
Absolutely. Sign up for that. Using the entire play clock. Sullivan, yeah, they're just going to run out the clock here.
Ryan Day, I think, is going to use his last timeout right here. No use going to the locker room with
Charge
it.
timeout, Ohio State.
But as long as Northwestern doesn't mishandle the ball,
right,
of course.
But you make them snap it. Yep, you make them snap the football.
Both teams did the wet ball drills during the week. Forecast was known for several days that we were looking at this kind of a day.
I think the biggest thing right now, if you would have told anybody, not only that it's 7-7, but that at the end of the first half, as of right now, Northwestern would be out-rushing Ohio State 117-72. That's a big surprise as well. Northwestern has done a nice job mixing wildcat, quarterback run, a little bit of everything. And Ohio State, without Travion Henderson, has not really been able to establish a running game.
7-19 Northwestern on the 29-yard line.
How about this formation? Sullivan takes the knee. He was the backup at the start of the year. They competed throughout the offseason and through fall camp with Ryan Holinsky. Holinsky won the job, played well in the win against Nebraska, but his play tailed off a bit. They gave, there's Holinsky, Sullivan his first chance to play college football against Wisconsin in the 6th game of the year. And he started at Maryland, at Iowa, making his first home start here today. And that running ability the coaches talked about has been helpful to their cause on this windy and wet day. He's fired up. 37.5 point underdogs. Northwestern tied with Ohio State at the half. Buckeyes just 118 yards of total offense and matching their season low for points in the first half when they struggled in the opener against Notre Dame. Wound up winning that game 21-10. At the half, the Buckeyes 7, the Wildcats 7. We'll send you to the studio for the Capital One halftime report after this message and a word from our ABC station. The North Shore of Chicago, and obviously Todd, the win causing some problems for C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, I mean, he's been pretty much flawless all season, but having a difficult time with the win. Only 6 of 16, 46 yards, but he did make probably the key play for their offense in the first half. This keeper on 4th and 1 on their touchdown drive enabled them to extend the drive and tie the ball game up here before the first half ended.
It looked like that last little squall that came through is changing the weather just a little bit. The temperature is dropping. It looked like the wind is dying down just a bit at the half. We'll see if that continues to be such a big factor in the second half, because it was really the only factor in that first half.
It was, and you know, if I'm Ryan Day and I'm talking to my team in the locker room, I'm saying, forget it. Whatever the weather is, it's time for us to assert ourselves. I would expect Ohio State to flex their muscles a little bit. If they can't run the football, if they can't muster that, then it's got to be C.J. Stroud throwing the football. And they've got too much talent on the perimeter to not be more explosive, even if the weather is bad. They got to find a way.
Kickoff is returnable. Evan Hull decided to let it sailed over his head. A touchback off the foot of Jaden Fielding. And here's Molly McGrath.
Well, head coach Ryan Day was frustrated and very short at the half. He said the elements have challenged his offense. He said we can't really throw the ball, but he likes the leadership he's seen from his quarterback, C.J. Stroud. He stressed the importance of getting the run going, and he wants him to do more of what we saw at the end of the first half. But one thing to keep an eye on, running back Miyan Williams came out of the locker room with his hand wrapped, and their tight end Cade Stover, one of their best blockers, spent a lot of time with athletic training staff outside of their locker room on the bike.
Here's Hull. And he's dumped by J.T. Tuimoloau for a gain of just 1.
I don't think Northwestern is going to fool Ohio State with the Wildcat here in the second half. I think when they jump in that and the quarterback Sullivan motions out, Ohio State is really going to overload the box and be prepared to run. I have not seen any threat of a passing game out of that Wildcat, and I don't think Ohio State expects that.
Rolling into the wind here in the third quarter and operating slowly. Evan Hull still the Wildcat quarterback. It'll be 3rd down and 3. When they were with the wind in the first quarter, they snapped the ball much more quickly. Going in this direction in the second quarter, they took the play clock on average all the way down to 8 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I would say in that first half, I don't know that you could manage a game or the clock any better than Pat Fitzgerald and Northwestern did. They did it exactly right to give themselves the chance that to be right in this football game. Good play here.
And it's Hull again leaning on their best player, and he gets the first down with a yard to spare.
In that short space and quickness. I mean, Ohio State knows it's coming. He's just a difficult guy to corral because of his quickness. Watch the plants the right foot, jumps back inside. There's Buckeyes there, but not before Hall's able to get the first down. And again, the slow, methodical pace here, going against the wind.
Evan Hull, including the kicking game, 143 all-purpose yards per game. That's 8th in the nation. 2nd in the Big Ten, behind Chase Brown. So he's had a terrific year on and off the field. That is his fiance, Tian Roos. After their opening game over in Dublin, Ireland, the next day the team stayed for a while. He, with his family, met Tien in a park in Dublin near the hotel. It was a big surprise to her. She was actually upset because he was not showing up at the park. Got down on a knee and asked for her hand in marriage, and they're going to get married next July 7th. He's a great student, too. Graduated with a degree in biology from Grand Canyon University. On 2nd and 2, they don't get the first down.
This is really interesting what Northwestern is doing right now. Now they're bringing their quarterback, Brendan Sullivan, back in on this 3rd and short. But they were going big people. They were playing 3 tight ends. One of those tight ends, number 45, is a backup tackle, Dom D'Antonio. Because of the injuries at tight end, he's been in that entire possession. Now a more traditional formation and personnel group on 3rd down and short.
23 of their last 24 plays have been runs. Sullivan didn't go anywhere. Didn't look like he got it.
If he got it, it was only on 2nd effort. He did not have it initially. They put a big fullback in behind him just to push. But Ohio State with a nice stand on that play. There's Eichenberg right in the middle of the action, as he would expect.
Lost a helmet. So if they go for it on this 4th down, they won't have their leading tackler on the field. He has to go out for a play, and Pat Fitzgerald's leading the offense on the field.
Remember the last time they were in this situation, they did a lot of shifts and motions, trying to draw the Ohio State defense offside. Will they do that again on their own side of the 50? Or will they go for it this time? The quarterback sneak was not the answer. If they are going to go for it, I think it's got to be Evan Hull trying to get that first down for you. And they're in Wildcat setup right now without Brendan Sullivan on the field.
And milking the clock. Trying to spend as little time going into the wind as possible.
They get past the 49.
Oh, ran into traffic and he gets stuffed. Ohio State takes over on downs.
I'm ready to go.
No question who was going to run the football. Northwestern knew it, Ohio State knew it, and the Buckeyes with a huge stand on 4th down.
The offense takes over. Ohio State been the best third quarter team in the country, outscoring their opponents 101-13. They have their best starting field position of the day as well. Miyan Williams driven back, got to the line of scrimmage, then repelled, and they're going to mark it with a 1-yard loss. Devin O'Rourke leading the way.
He is met by
The Ohio State touchdown drive late in the first half was a possession they started at the 46-yard line, where they are right now.
This Northwestern defense coming into today 111th in the country in stopping the run, but they have been outstanding today against Ohio State.
C.J. Stroud play fake, far sideline, broken up. Well played by Cameron Mitchell. They have a veteran secondary. It's his 21st career start, and they're covering these talented wideouts man-to-man, and effectively so.
Yeah, I mean, he read the route perfectly, got his hips turned, got a hand on the football. It was a good throw, but just a beautiful play by Cameron Mitchell.
Only targeted Marvin Harrison Jr. 3 times. He's had a lot of single coverage all day. They're 0 for 8 on 3rd down. 3-man rush. Stroud sings one for a 1st down. There's Harrison.
You need a 1st down. That's the guy you go to, right? Unbelievable. Good route, knows where the sticks are, gets his numbers turned to the quarterback, doesn't give up the 1st down yardage, and a good throw and catch for the conversion. I think I'd go to him a little bit more.
Sophomore from Philadelphia, about 4 inches taller than his Hall of Fame dad. He said there's a lot of height on his mom's side of the family. Stroud lofts one, caught and dropped. In and out of the hands of Egbuka. He had a touchdown, and he held on.
Yeah, Jeremiah Lewis was in coverage, and he tried to go under to make the interception. Didn't get a hand on the football, but he might have distracted Egbuka just a little bit.
They never did fully have it. Stroud thought he had it. Excellent receiving group, but of course they're missing Jackson Smith and Egbuka again, out with a hamstring injury. Played in parts of only 3 games. They hope to get him back in the next few weeks. Miyan Williams chopped down about 3 yards short of the 1st down. Tackled by A.J. Hampton. From a football family. His dad Alonzo played in the NFL, now coaching at Louisiana Monroe. And that hurt Pat Fitzgerald's defense. Hampton got hurt in the opener against Nebraska. Had ankle surgery, just came back. They played most of this season without him. Here's a big 3rd down and 3. They are in field goal range, obviously. And it's Miyan Williams breaking tackles, bouncing outside. Touchdown, Ohio State.
Touchdown.
Up until this point, Northwestern has done a great job tackling. This is just a simple inside zone play and poor tackling. Miyan Williams busts away and then uses his speed, a little help from C.J. Stroud just getting in the way, but it was the poor tackling that led to this touchdown. As we see the end on the progressive pylon cam, Miyan Smith finally gets loose for a nice run.
This 11th rushing touchdown of the year. The extra point good by Noah Ruggles. He can put it in the end zone. Williams had 5 rushing touchdowns in one game against Rutgers back on October 1st. 27-yard touchdown run. Their first play of over 20 today.
And their first real big play of the game.
First of over 20 yards. They had 56 plays of 20-plus yards this season. Entering today, 3rd most in the country. Jaden fielding. Evan Hull, he's going to try it. He's in trouble and down shy of the 20-yard line. Caden Curry made the tackle. Here are today's college football playoff rankings. Of course, the first edition just came out this past Tuesday. They're brought to you by Allstate. Big game coming up in a little over an hour. Tennessee at Georgia. Anything about these initial rankings surprise you?
No, not really. I mean, I think Tennessee's resume is pretty impressive. If they find a way to win in Athens today.
Here's Cam Porter. Good run on first down. He's all the way out to the 37-yard line. Stopped by Lathan Ransom.
Nice job blocking on the right side of the offensive line. Good block downfield by Bryce Kurtz, the wide receiver. Northwestern has to possess the football here. Again, right now they are thinking we have got to get to the 4th quarter where we can get the win, and this score is still in reach. And so a good drive here, whether they come away with points or not, is critical for Northwestern and Brendan Sullivan.
19-yard gain, the longest of the day for the Wildcats. Porter, big hole, and a good tackle by Ronnie Hickman to prevent a much bigger play. It went for 5. It'll be 2nd and 5.
Sean, we start talking about Brendan Sullivan. I found his story to be interesting. Didn't start playing football till late. Was a wide receiver as a sophomore. Led his team to a state championship as a junior quarterback. And then had to make a decision as a senior whether to keep playing in the playoffs or enroll early at Northwestern, and chose to do that.
He got his team, Davison High School, to the semifinals of the state playoffs. As a senior, but because of COVID, the schedule got dragged out into January, and he wanted to go to Northwestern as an early enrollee. Stopped in his tracks. Andrew Clare by Tommy Eichenberg. After thinking about it, Brendan Sullivan's a tough decision. He left his high school team in the state semifinals. They actually won that game, then lost in the championship game, but he came here because he wanted to get a start on college and learning the system.
He's going to need to make a play right here. I think he's going to have to make a play either as a quarterback keep or a throw here, because this drive and sustaining this drive, I think, is huge for Northwestern.
They've done some creative things with the offense. I do think that 4th down play on their last possession was really predictable, with Evan Hull taking the shotgun snap. Sullivan shovels it ahead for a first down. What a play. Looked like he was dead behind the line of scrimmage, and he shoveled into Malik Washington for a first down to the Buckeye 47.
Now this is total improv by Sullivan. And the good thing about still being behind the line of scrimmage is he could throw this ball forward. It was not a backward throw. It was a forward throw. But because he was behind the line of scrimmage, it's a legal play. And they convert and get a new set of downs. That was a quarterback finding a way to make a play.
He's on the sideline, so Cam Porter's going to take the shotgun snap, Wildcat snap.
You got to wonder, do they have a throw or something off the Wildcat different than just running?
Well, they are using it effectively. They got to 4th and short, were stopped the last possession. Eichenberg stopped Porter there. That shovel pass, the little flip forward by Sullivan, just their 2nd pass since the 1st quarter. And that one was not by design.
2nd and 3rd quarter going against the wind. Just run heavy. Mike Pajakian, the offensive coordinator.
They said yesterday we have a few wrinkles, and they've leaned very heavily on this Wildcat offense. Appropriately so for the Northwestern Wildcats. There's a wrinkle, and Ohio State stops it. Zach Harrison The terrific defensive end stopped Malik Washington.
Yeah, Harrison just stayed right at home. I mean, he did not venture out. He's responsible for setting the edge. He does that. He's right where he needs to be. Played that perfectly.
Senior, one of the top prospects on Mel Kiper's draft board. His 24th career start. Third down and 9. Sullivan. Will he throw it? He pulls it down and gets back close to the line of scrimmage, and that's it.
Brendan Sullivan, the ball carrier.
JT Tuimoloau made the play, but to your point, Todd, this possession did shorten the quarter.
Absolutely. It did that. Nowhere really to go with the football. I couldn't tell if that was a design quarterback run. He did have receivers, but they didn't look like they were running crisp routes. Try to give Ohio State a long field here in the final 4 minutes of the third quarter.
So Renner's been the punter when they've gone in this direction, because he's good at that. Getting a 1-iron. He's hit several punts that haven't gotten very high above the player's blocking form. That's a 30-yard punt. Miyan Williams, the go-ahead touchdown. They have 3:49 remaining with the wind at their backs and a 7-point lead here in the third quarter.
And quarterback C.J. Stroud just talking to his offensive line about communication issues they're having. Their center, Whippler, was talking to Stroud saying, I can't hear you. Stroud said, okay, I'm going to start clapping. It's not the crowd noise, it's the wind that's making the offensive line have a hard time hearing their quarterback.
All right, Molly going with the wind here for another 3:49. All of the scoring has been going in the direction the Buckeyes are heading in. Miyan Williams around the corner. They scored a touchdown in this quarter. They've had the ball for just more than 2 minutes in this half. Northwestern hasn't scored, but they did kill a lot of the clock, which was their goal going into the win.
In that last possession, they killed some time and they flipped the field. So now Ohio State, even though they've got the win, they've got a long way to go.
C.J. Stroud checks it down. Stover, the tight end, is out of bounds at the 23-yard line. It'll be third down 3. Devin Turner there for the Wildcats.
Much of the running game with Ohio State last week against Penn State, 98 yards rushing, but 41 of that came on Travion Henderson's touchdown run that gave them the lead in the fourth quarter. Now this week, 78 yards before that 27-yard run by Miyan Williams. And so the big runs turn things around for Ohio State 2 weeks in a row.
Third down and 3. Can they convert for the first time today? Yes, they can.
You throw it to 18 on third down. There's a really good chance that you're going to convert. 10 catches a week ago, all 10 for first downs. I think every one of his catches today has been for first down yardage as well.
Deep throw just over the head of Julian Fleming.
He's got away from him. You know, I mean, he's got an open man. You always want to lead the receiver, but you got the wind behind your back, and the ball just kind of sailed on him. And again, we know how accurate C.J. Stroud is on normal conditions. I mean, he coming into the game completing over 70% of his passes. Today, it's just been a different story with this wind, whether you're going with it or against it. Unless you're driving the football, the wind can really take over.
Miyan Williams, lots of running room without contact. Finally contacted about 10 yards down the field.
Miyan Williams, the ball carrier.
He has a first down to the 46-yard line.
Brought down by Devin Turner.
Devin Turner made the tackle.
46-yard line.
2.5 to go, third quarter. Pat Fitzgerald has never defeated Ohio State. Wildcats are 0-8 against the Buckeyes since Fitz became the head coach. He's in his 17th season Winningest coach in school history. After the fake, a man open, and Stover couldn't handle the low throw.
Low and behind. This is not a good throw by C.J. Stroud. They had two tight ends in. It was a run look. They faked the toss. This ball is low and behind for the tight end. He's crossing the field. That ball needs to be on the other side.
Well, it's a secondary point at this juncture. They're just trying to win a game they absolutely have to win.
Yes.
With an eye toward the college football playoff. But you wonder, with an eye toward the Heisman Trophy, if this will hurt and if those who vote will factor in the 50-mile-an-hour wind gust when judging this performance. Harrison out wide. Devin Turner, a nice play. Egbuka was trying to block for him.
I think both of those things will come into play. I think it will hurt because his numbers are not very good right now, but there's a lot of game to play. But I think people will factor in the weather. And he still has the game in front of him in the fourth quarter to kind of take things over like he did a week ago in a hostile environment in Happy Valley.
After 0 for 8 on third down, they're 3 for the last 3. Scored touchdowns on their last 2 possessions. Heading in this direction. They have only a minute and a half remaining in this direction, and on a blitz, the throw is high, and it's 4th down.
That was a miscommunication, too. That wasn't the ball that got away from him. I think he expected his receiver, Marvin Harrison, to stay outside. Watch Harrison. He's going to break this route in. And I think C.J. Stroud expected him to stay out. And just a misfire because of the miscommunication.
Mirko on to punt. The 77-yarder in the second quarter was their longest punt since at least 1996. They're still doing research. And how about that effort? Judge the wind perfectly there.
4-yard line.
Well, went down one club and factoring in the wind at his back. 48 yards and out at the 4-yard line. Now a quick word from Cheez-It.
Cheesiest chain for the cheesiest cheese.
Give me that. You don't need it.
To be the cheesiest, gotta snatch that chain.
Wait, how'd you... We need another chain.
Cheez-It, official sponsor of college football playoff.
I don't know about you, but I'm still kind of powering through the Cheez-Its that we got sent.
Lifetime supply from our friends at Cheez-Its earlier. Made a lot of friends in our neighborhood. Sullivan under center, and movement from the left guard. Vincent Picozzi, although this pointing in both directions.
False start. Offense. Number 75. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
Vincent Picozzi in his 7th year of college football. Started out at Temple as a walk-on in 2016. Redshirted there. Was a 3-year starter. Transferred to Colorado State, and now here at Northwestern. Done a very good job for them. They need to get out of the end zone. And what a run.
What a great run. And Ohio State is all up around the line of scrimmage, and you just see the power that he has. That is a great run.
They had to talk to him about doing less, perhaps, or at least being smarter about how he worked out. He's one of those guys constantly in the weight room, and they thought maybe he needed to focus more on recovery, on nutrition.
Whatever plan he's on right now, it's
working. He has a year of eligibility left. He told us we'll wait and see, get some opinions from NFL people on whether he head in that direction at the end of the year. He is hit behind the line. Managed to spin away from Michael Hall Jr.
Well, guys, I can tell you exactly what Evan Hull's plan is. He used to wake up at 5 a.m. and catch tennis balls and do footwork. And his coaches said, hey, you're catching tennis balls at 5, but you're dropping footballs at 7 once our practices start. So you've got to take it easy on yourself. So now he wakes up at 5 a.m., but he does meditation and yoga in his living room. He said it really helps him control the rest of his day, and he's really prioritizing resting his body, getting himself mentally tough, and it's paid off so far this season.
The end of the third quarter.
Thought Ryan Day might consider a timeout there, try to force a punt into the wind if they could get a stop. He elected not to. ESPN's presentation of college football on ABC will return after this message and a word from our ABC station. In Evanstan, Ohio State leading 14-7. All the points scored with the wind. It's Northwestern's turn with the wind at their backs for the first time since the first quarter. And a big play to start the fourth quarter. 3rd down and 2. Wildcats at their own 13-yard line, or 12-yard line. Sullivan keeps it again. That's worked very well. Brendan Sullivan all the way out to the 27-yard line. Javante Jean-Baptiste made the tackle.
Well, he does a nice job of getting upfield and then watch him protect the football at the end. Gets both arms on the football. Really heads up play by the quarterback.
Denzel Burke, starting cornerback, has gone off the field for Ohio State. Well, Northwestern didn't score any points, obviously, with the wind in their face, but they did use up a lot of time. They had the ball for more than 10.5 minutes in the third quarter. Evan Hull dropped for a 2-yard gain by Josh Proctor.
Again, from a game